Hi and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make icebergs and glaciers for your ice terrain. Want to see how it's done? Stay tuned and let's check it out. For this project, I used some leftover styrofoam from a shipment that we got over the holiday season. This is something that you can easily find for yourselves as well. In fact, if you want to, check out the link above and check out how Scotty put this to work for some ice terrain as well. Basically, what you want to do is take your hand hot wire cutter and go around and just make some nice squiggly lines. It helps if you change the angles a little bit as well as direction, just to start giving you some interesting shapes. You can also take it and pull it across the top at something of a 45-degree angle, and it's going to give you some various slopes and again some interesting shapes as you go along. When you find something you like, stop there and move along to a new piece. I made up a whole bunch because I wanted to get a good amount of these going. A quick note here is to not worry about any of the texture that might appear on the very top of these pieces. We will address this later. For further reinforcement, I attached the styrofoam to pizza cardboard. To do this, just get a nice strong craft glue stick, smear it on there nice and heavy, and then place the pieces on top and give it a little wiggle to make sure they adhere nicely. One other trick you can do here is also, once you have everything on there, flip it over, weigh it down with something heavy, and when it's dry, all these pieces are now going to stick nicely to that pizza box cardboard for you. For this section, I'm going to stress that you make sure you have a cutting mat, a nice sharp pair of scissors, and a fresh blade in your utility knife. The first thing I did was make sure all the pieces were cut out and away from each other. Then I went in with a nice sharp utility knife and I basically made these cuts that were smaller and angled away from the piece, just to remove the sections of cardboard that I didn't want to have attached to the piece itself. Especially with the more unique organic forms, this whittling away little by little is a good way to make sure you keep that unique look to things without cutting away too much of the styrofoam. Should you nip some of the styrofoam away, that's perfectly okay. We will be putting coatings on this just to make sure that it stays nice and clean looking as opposed to having any ragged little bumps or pills sticking out. When your pieces are all free of the excess cardboard, what you want to do is take your low temp hot glue gun and edge around the bottom where you still have some of that corrugation peeking through. You're basically using the hot glue to fill in the corrugation, and then I smoothed it up and over the edge to give a seamless blend from the foam into the cardboard. Now, for those areas that have some texture, you can take a little bit of that hot glue, put a dab on, and then use the tip of your nozzle to smooth it out. Since styrofoam is by nature a little bit softer, I wanted to be sure that I gave it some reinforcement by mixing in Mod Podge with the base coat. Now normally I do a different ratio, but for this one you're doing equal parts of this ceramic coat Midnight Dream with the Mod Podge matte. You're going to mix those two together thoroughly and make sure you put a nice layer on top of all of your pieces and allow it to dry thoroughly. When your base coat is dry, you're going to move over to the Ceram Coat Cone Flower color. And with this, you're going to do a heavy-handed dry brushing to bring out the textures and also to add another depth of color. Because again, I want to play with these glacier tones that you'll see in real life. Once that dries completely, let's move over to the next step. For the wash, I used a very specific paint from Ceram Coat, and this is for frosted glass effects. Basically, this is a paint you can use on glass as well, and I used the South Sea colors. The important thing here is to make sure you get the wash mix going correctly. My best advice for you is to mix this with distilled water so it has the consistency of a very heavy cream. Once you get that down and you have the paint blended well, this is what's going to help you create the wash that you're going to apply to all of your pieces, starting from the top and allowing it to drip down the sides towards the base of each piece. Again, this is playing with the blues that you're going to find in icebergs and glaciers out in nature. For this next step, do be sure you're using the Apple Barrel White. To me, this is my more favorite of white acrylic paints out there. And you also want to be sure that wash is totally dry before doing this step. Otherwise, you're going to end up with some smeared blue effects that aren't going to look quite as sharp as you want them to. Essentially, you're going over each piece with this white and you're highlighting those bumps and those ridges that were created by that hand hot wire cutter into your styrofoam. Now this is up to you as to how much white you really want to layer on. You can do thin coats and go back and do another coat if you so choose, or you can be slightly heavier handed and do a thicker coat just to get one fell swoop done. I'm leaving that up to you, but you do want to make sure you do this step so it gets that nice white crystalline look that the glaciers will have as well. To create the snow texture on the tops of these, what I did is went back to my Vallejo texture paints and I used that rough white, and I am putting this on top of pretty much every flat surface or areas that would naturally collect snow out in the environment where you would find icebergs and glaciers. And when it's dry, it really does get this great snow effect going for you. The final step for that glossy ice look is to use that Craft Smart white pearl metallic, and you're just going to drag this over the high portions as well. I did this both around the edges as well as the top portion where I put the snow texture from the Vallejo texture paint. The end result gives you this really shiny ice-like appearance when you are done, and it's wonderful. The camera cannot do this justice at all. This is a new product I am very happy to share with you, and in fact check the link above because Lilac has done a great review of this product we've both been testing out before its release in March. But this Mod Podge Ultra in the gloss spray is what I used to seal these pieces. It helped keep the shine, and it also helped really firm up that styrofoam so it was nice and durable. Again, this is something that's going to be available to everyone in March. And here we have our final look of these glaciers and icebergs that I created using styrofoam. The biggest reason why I decided to use styrofoam for this one is because so many of you have asked me to try and do something with styrofoam because it is more readily available for you. So I took that into account, and I hope what you see here. Again, I got to try out that new Mod Podge product, which I highly recommend you get your hands on when it is available to you in March. I really like the way both the gloss and the matte finish works with various items. Again, go back and watch what Lilac has done for his video as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me by either commenting below, or you can email me at thecraftingmuse.email@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching this today. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you had, make sure to hit that like button. And as always, you're welcome to subscribe while you are here. Have a great one, everyone. Before you go, I wanted to make sure you knew that my patrons on Patreon are getting a pretty exclusive little treat. I'm going to start DMing a couple games starting in March where my Patreon patrons get a chance to have a seat at the table. If you would like to join in, do make sure to go and check it out on my Patreon page. Hi, and well, hello. Into a passionate community, yet please do it. Subscribers while you're